Hi there guys, I'm down in my lodge, which is not an unusual thing for me these days, and I've got a few things that I'm catching up on. You know how it is. So I've just been cleaning this up. That's going off today. That was won by one of the subscribers in my subscription hub this month, because every month someone wins something, and I'm actually catching up on one of the live hours that I run where somebody else also won this Flint Dagger that we sat and produced in a film. It wasn't the best bit of flint in the world, but just to carry it off, I'm going to this unwieldy looking bunch of stuff. That's some nettle fibre from last year. I've made a start on it. Basically, if I coil it up, you can see it easier. So what we have is that banding. The idea is just to think of the handle section on the knife and then begin to wind that round and settle that all down with a little bit of pitch. So anyway, I thought just for a second we'd look at the mechanics of making the string. So basically what you're doing is you're working in that little triangle right there, and the important bit is, first of all, grab hold of the very triangle itself, and then with slightly moistened fingers, what I do is I begin to put a twist into both sides, and then put your hand underneath and take the one that's nearest to you and begin to push it until it starts crinkling up. Then hold that like that so it's stored, and then push the memory into this side. And now, provided you're keeping the tension there, what you can do is you can literally wind that in. That's a nice quick way of actually putting some cordage together quite fast. While you're doing that, you're obviously running out of stock, because this stuff here is only so long. And also what you might find is you're beginning to lose a little bit of weight on one side or the other. So what I do is I get a single strand of nettle. So the nettle itself, when you first get it in its dried form, will be broken up like that, and it's all connected together, but you can part that if you're careful, so you end up with much slimmer strands. Then when you're ready to add in, what you do is you have to unwind what you've been winding up, get that wet, can literally lift my thumb up, pop that down onto that triangle, so that's there with that pack now. And then what we do is we roll them all in together, and because you've done it that way, what happens is that new one, because you unwound it, the new one that you put in can actually go in and meet the others without causing some kind of separate situation. He needs to feel like he's part of the gang. So what you're going to find is, where you laid in, you've got these little bits that need trimming off, and for that what we're going to need is a little bit of flint. So during my last workshop I set up a blade core. You can see where the blades have been running. You can see down here, look. So what we'll do is we'll see if we can launch something down there. There is a small problem, because there's a little bit of a hinge here and a little bit of a dip here, so we'll just see what happens. But whatever we do, we're going to get something nice and sharp from it. So I'm going to start off by doing a little bit of abrasive work up the top. Just slightly draw that back a bit as well, using a nice compounded hammer stone, which is really abrasive. That means that you can kind of almost sand that back. Then to knock that off, I'm going to use a big old piece of antler. This is a bit of samba. I'm going to park it on the side of the leg and give it a strike. Okay, so we went the full distance, which is good. It's truncated, that little flake. Goes back together there. What I mean by that is because I hit it slightly harder than I normally would to compensate for that hinge, it's broke just in the middle where it got thinnest. That actually makes so much sense that it would do that. And then what we've got is we've got a beautiful sharp piece of flint. Actually made a gunflint there without trying. So with something like that, you can quite easily come and trim them off. It always feels a little nostalgic when I'm making nettle cordage. My mum used to travel up and down the lands with my dad, going to different shows all around England and up in Scotland, and while he was sitting there doing the flint knapping, she'd be teaching people how to do the cordage with many natural fibres, but with the abundance of nettle, it was quite often that. And some of the production companies would come along from time to time, like Secrets of the Stonehenge, and what they wanted is they wanted to reconstruct pulling great big sarsen stones about. So on some occasions my dear old mum used to have to even make, you know, thick old rope that would believably be able to assist in such a task. I've probably been sitting here making this for about 15 minutes, and it's round about time to have a look at whether the pitch is hot and getting it associated with the Flint Dagger. Yeah, so there we go. That's the cordage all nice and ready now, and the pitch is melted, so we'll get about and have a look at that. So I've got my glue in a cast iron pot, which is a nice handy way of handling it, but you can also do it like this as well. This is a scallop shell, and a scallop shell will sit in fairly warm embers and you can melt it that way. So we have the dagger and we have the cordage. Now what I'm going to do with it is I'm actually going to dip it in there and start the cordage about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch in, and as long as I go quick, then I should be able to suppress that into that glue and then heat it up at the end, and it will drift nicely through the cordage itself. So let's see how we get on. I may even need to put that on an angle so I can get it deeper. Right. Just a little bit there. Look that there. I've got to be quick. Basically goes hard as soon as it gets cold, which gives you about 45 seconds to get it on there. I've always found it pretty amazing as well that you can pick your nettle. This nettle would have been picked last May, so it's 10 months ago. And what it does is it browns, and that actually makes it even stronger than it would have been in the first place. Now we'll do a little bit of trimming. And I'm going to actually, that's where we've got to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sacrifice the tip of this blade in the glue and just get some round where we finished off up here. Just slightly overcompensating with that glue on that handle. Check out that's not too hot. It is. So we get that off of there now. And then what we're going to do is we're going to let that meet that flame again. Flames always want to seem to follow your fingers. And what I like to do is I like to wipe away everything that actually doesn't belong on it. You don't need a massive amount of glue. It's just a suggestion. And there, so what do you know? The hand can fit nicely around that. And you've got a little Flint Dagger. I always like the look and the effect of that tarring, and it makes it feel all right and as it should be. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you're new to my program, please don't forget to follow me, like the posts, and share with your friends if you like. Cheers for now, everyone.